If there's one thing that we as internet users and art enthusiasts can probably agree on, is that we don't suffer from a lack of accessible information. There's so many books, so many articles, so many videos out there on, for example, specific art techniques that it's very hard for us to know where to look and what to pay attention to. I've recently started getting into soft pastels, and I've already made some stuff that I actually really like, and I attribute that to the fact that I was able to do a lot of research on art materials. Especially with pastels, it's a little bit tricky because there are different material groups, so to speak. Soft pastels, hard pastels, medium pastels, pan pastels, pastel pencils, and they all create different effects. So basically, first you need to figure out what effects do you want to create, and how do you do that, and how can you combine these materials? So to help you as potential new pastel users, I thought I'd share the research that I've done and share the artists that I've discovered here on YouTube that really helped me to understand this medium better, and that also, are really inspiring to me personally. Now, because I myself am mostly interested in portraits of humans and of animals, that's what my list reflects. So if you're more into landscapes or still lifes, then you may look for other artists, even though some of the artists also do these kinds of things as well. So I want to share the work of 6 artists with you. I put together a little list of 1 or 2 videos per artist so that you know where to start and not just throw you on their channel and kind of leave you alone. But I found some specific videos that I think are pretty good to get you started or to get an idea of what this artist is about. Now, the first artist that I want to mention is purely for inspiration. Her name is Graciela Bombalova. I think she lives in Italy, and she makes amazing portraits. So the videos that she produces for YouTube are really just her drawing portraits, painting portraits, and there's no narration, it's just background music, and you can just kind of get a feel for how she works. But if you're paying close attention, you can also learn about her technique. And I just really like to see how she uses the color, and she uses pastel sticks mostly, some pencils as well. And I just think her stuff is gorgeous. It looks really, really well. The video that I chose is one that shows a little bit more of her technique than some of her other videos, so I hope that you find this helpful. But I would say that her channel is mostly about inspiration rather than technique. The next artist that I want to mention is Alain Picard. He's very charismatic, and when he says buy these pastels, you kind of believe him without questioning anything. He's very enthusiastic about art and also about teaching, so I find his channel very nice. He also uses soft pastels and sticks mostly, hard pastels too, and I think he just explains very well the effects that he gets, and he's very much into the painterly effects, so that's something that if you're interested in that, definitely follow him. The third artist I want to mention is Colbert. She's a animal portraitist mostly, but also does landscapes. And she also uses soft pastels and sticks for most of her work. And she puts a lot of detail in. So she's not so much about the painterly effects, but more about the detail, but not too much. Like, you can still tell it's a pastel kind of artwork. So in her videos, she gives a lot of tips. It's not just about pastel use, but about color theory, how to be a professional artist. Like, you can find a lot of things on her channel as well. So I will link 2 of her videos that I found really helpful in the beginning. The next artist I want to mention is Jason Morgan. He's a wildlife artist, and he does the most amazing work with lots of detail. So he likes to use, from what I can tell, a lot of pan pastels for the underlayers, and then he follows up with pastel pencils for the details. And his work is highly detailed, you can tell, and his channel is huge. Like, he has so many videos on so many things. Like, he has a lot of videos about very specific things, like how to draw the nose of a specific animal, and then he goes into depth about that. In-depth art supply reviews. Like, you can find pretty much anything on his channel. Highly recommend. Now, since I just mentioned pan pastels for underlayers, I want to kind of give you a special tip. So the next artist that I have on the list is not exactly a pastel artist. I think you could say that she works in different media, but pastel sticks or pastel pencils is not one of them. But she uses pan pastel for her underlayers as well. And she has one very great video on how to make skin tones, and that is one of the best videos that I found on this. And she likes to combine pan pastels with color pencil, and as a mixed media artist myself, I always find these combinations very interesting. And her name is Bouquet. I didn't mention that yet. Her name is Bouquet, and she's the queen of glowing skin. Like, I don't know how she does it, but all her portraits just look fantastic. So if you're into color pencil as well, definitely go check her out. But she also paints in oil and gouache and I don't know, other media as well, I think. And she's a very sweet person, and yeah, her videos are really lovely. And last but not least, I want to mention Dave Porter. I already mentioned him on my channel before because I find his technique very interesting. He works, as far as I can tell, exclusively with pastel pencils. I mean, for his pastel work, he also uses oil, I think. But for his pastel work, he uses only the pencils, which of course means that, well, you can already tell that he's probably a lot about the detail, which is true. And he spends a lot of time on his drawings. I asked him actually, and he told me that one of his portraits he took 20 hours. So if you're more of a person who likes the slow process and kind of gets into the Zen mood of drawing and painting, then this might be a technique for you. And what's really interesting about him is that he doesn't use a huge variety of colors, but it is that he uses primary and secondary colors to and then he layers them until he achieves the color that he's really after. And I think that's really interesting, and you know, as far as color theory goes, you can learn a lot from his videos as well. So that's my list. That's the artists that I want to recommend to you if you're getting into pastels now. Basically, the one tip that I have as a beginner myself is figure out what it is that you want to do. What kind of effects do you want? Are you more into the painterly effects? Do you want great detail? Like, what is it that you're after? And then look for artists that kind of have the technique that you want and see what materials they use, because pastels are really versatile in what they can do, and you kind of want to choose the right medium for you, so to speak, to get started, because it can get pretty expensive pretty quickly when you're looking into pastels. And that's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful and that you're inspired to move forward in your artistic journey. And yeah, talk to you later. Bye. So to help you out as new potential pastel lovers,